So this is the Police 2, came out yesterday, and I'm here to talk about it. Like its predecessor, this is the Police. The center of the game is based around managing a crew of police officers and sending them on varying calls. That's where the game stopped being similar. For starters, your officers have different traits that range from strength and intelligence to stealth and negotiation, to name a few. This opens up a whole new perspective to which officers you pick to go on calls, and it stresses the importance of balance on your force. Compared to the first game, which simply displayed an officer's professionalism rating, or really, how likely it is for this idiot to fuck up, this change is massive. It allows you to gain so much control over a situation if you have the right officer for the job, and it actually makes who you send an important question. Next is the top-down, turn-based strategy edition. It's interesting, as it has all the bells and whistles that you'd expect. Cover mechanics, action points, usually a wide area of movement, and the different abilities that are based on the equipment of your officers. Each cop has their service revolver and a knife, that's default. It's up to you to assign them pepper spray, batons, tasers, and stun grenades. In regards to the success of the XCOM-like gameplay, I'd say it's good. Frustrating, but good. As all top-down turn-based strategy games usually are. I especially like how using two cops together, one to incapacitate the target and one to actually arrest them, pushes the point of having a cohesive team. The setting is very interesting and different from the first game, and I would say, to go boldly, that the story is just as good, if not possibly better. The game takes place in the small town of Sharpwood, far in the north, much farther north than Freeburg. Instead of working as chief of police, you work with the town's sheriff. Although corruption isn't as rampant as it was in Freeburg, it's still plentiful in Sharpwood. The voice acting is great, but my only gripe is that the cutscenes are so goddamn long and frequent that it's actually fucking annoying. The acting is great, don't get me wrong, but the writing is so slow and full of unnecessary parts that it feels like a steak in your mouth that has too much fat and it just tastes gross. It's almost to a point where the story overpowers the gameplay. The beginning of the game is a great example of this. The tutorial takes about 5 minutes, but it explains the turn-based mechanics and the importance of maintaining visual contact and cover very well. I thought that the tutorial was pretty good. It explained things nicely, and it was quick. It gave the main situation of what you're going to have to do in armed robberies and whatnot. So I thought it was a good tutorial. But after that, it's just cutscene after cutscene for the next half hour. Now, it sets up the characters very well, but the writing behind the dialogue is too fleshed out. Instead of reeling me closer into the game, I found myself losing track of the conversations. Now, I'm sure that those of you who have bought the game already and been playing it since it launched yesterday probably noticed on the first day of playing that the beginning of the game was incredibly fucking difficult. The cops usually they made really shitty fucking excuses, and if they didn't do that, they showed up drunk all the time. Professionalism requirements were really high. You rarely got any tabs from completing arrests, and you lost a lot of tabs from missing criminals. And just overall, the professionalism of the starting roster was just really low. And so today, on August 1st, the developers released a new patch that's called patch 1.0.2, and it added a lot of balance changes, and those changes are as follows. You get rewarded more for arresting criminals and punished less for missing them. Professionalism requirements are lower for all missions now. Your starting team of cops is much better now. Your cops don't lose stamina points just for coming into work, only for actually doing something. This is really nice. They changed that from the first game. Your cops fully recover their stamina after a day off. Also changed that. That's really nice. I like the stamina system better in general than the first game. Tab prices for cops and equipment are revised. So with this, that means that they just changed the cost of tabs for officers and equipment. So they altered the tab prices for varying professionalism rates and for the different traits and stats that the officers have. Your cops don't come up with excuses and stay home as often as they used to. Wonderful. And your cops don't drink as much as they used to. So the fact that the developers already released a patch the day after the game was released really says a lot to me about them. It shows that they're committed to keeping this game going, and that they care about their customers, and that they overall just want to deliver a good user experience. All in all, I think this game is pretty good. I like how it builds on new features that were previously unexplored in the first game, or where there had just simply been a void and they filled that void. I think they did quite well with that. And they kept the good parts of the game. Just the interesting dialogue choices that you could say when you were going out on calls and you had the opportunity to handle the situation, which I also quite like how you handle the situation every time, which I think adds a new layer of decision making and it makes things a lot more interesting than the first game. So, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.